Greetings, goblins and geist.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Blake.
And welcome to
The Cloudpost.
So today we are shuffling up more historic magic on Arena.
Yes, we are. We got some brews as well because it's a brew and brew.
Brew and brew. Cheers, mates.
It was said at the same time.
Yeah.
Crack it.
Oh, get that nice.
Today we got
crack a brew in there.
Crack a brew. Today we got a hazy IPA from Highwire Brewing. Charlotte Brewery? Nope.
Well, Charlotte and Asheville.
I think it's North Carolina based. I
thought it was Asheville, right?
I think it did start out of Asheville. I should know better, but I don't.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is good. Cheers.
Cheers.
Dig it. Smooth.
Absolutely delicious.
Hell yeah.
And speaking of delicious, Blake has cooked up some real delicious evil that you have before you.
So I got a lockdown deck. You know how they do. You know what they do. They are fantastic, they are fun, and they are wickedly annoying to play against. Today we have Doom Foretold. I call it a brew and brew, but it is a little bit of a meta deck. Well,
okay.
It's like
I've very rarely played against it.
0.01% of the meta, maybe. You're not going to see this in Historic very often, and if you do, give that person a hand because it's a great fun time.
Give them a hand, but you might also give them the finger because this deck is very obnoxious to play against.
It is very annoying to play against, and we're going to tell you why.
Yeah, so we're going to give you a deck tech right here to go with these brews. We'll start with the low end of the deck.
So we're going to go ahead and talk about the discard package, which is fantastic, as it always is. And in every black deck, you're playing Thoughtseize, and you're probably playing Inquisition as well. Those two cards are stupid, phenomenally good. And, you know, come on, look at that demon. He's extracting brains.
And your split here is 4 and 2.
4 and 2. I mean, honestly, you could probably go 3 and 3, whatever you have, you know, make it work. But Thoughtseize is the winner, as it will always be the winner.
Yeah.
I don't think any cards. This is probably like what staple black card number 1 in Historic.
Oh yeah, in Historic, it's up there,
and even in Modern,
it's up there. I was about to say
Legacy, it's up
in
there.
Modern and in Legacy. Now in Legacy, certain combo decks don't.
It doesn't
actually interact.
But
However,
I mean, it usually pulls a force.
Yeah.
And, you know, like
that
we're talking about Legacy. We're going Historic. The boomers
but
don't know.
Yes, in Historic, access to Thoughtseize, it's huge.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic card.
Yeah.
And then we got one March of Otherworldly Light.
Okay.
It's just
another removal spell.
We got so much removal. I had more of these in here originally, and I was like, well, let's take them out for discard spells because discard doesn't. I mean, you don't always need removal,
right?
Especially when you're playing against control, and it's like it kind of makes it a little awkward against control. So I kept one, and it's just a really good card. You can exile a card from your hand and make it cheaper and stuff if you need to. We have cards in the deck. It's just good. Plus, I got some fancy, cool art. Looks like
absolutely.
It makes you think of the Katamari. You jig ball, you gotta juggle the ball in the game.
That's a strange memory to unlock.
It kind of looks like that. I don't know. It's wild. Super cool art. Whoever did a good job.
Yeah.
I think I pronounced that Gauze. I don't know. Cool card.
And you are running, of course, in these color combinations, Vanishing Verse.
Vanishing Verse is insanely powerful. I always forget that it's monocolor permanent, so don't forget about the monocolor.
It is restricted, but
it'll slow you down there sometimes.
But other than it being monocolored, just exile
anything,
any permanent,
anything,
basically. And
as long as it got some color to it,
I suppose
a color,
yeah. So lands it doesn't have to specify non-land because they're
I think
not colored.
Pretty sure it can't hit lands. I don't think it can hit Eldrazi. I don't think it can hit Arn or
colorless things.
But yeah, you know, it's not good against color ones, obviously.
Yeah. And you're running 2 of these Trial of Ambition.
We'll talk about why in a second. So it's an enchantment. So remember that it hits the field because you'll need this later on for Doom Foretold.
It's a permanent.
Yeah, you want to sack it later on for Doom Foretold, but literally it's just 2 mana. Target player sacks a creature. The second part of it doesn't even matter. We don't worry about that. It's just because it's an enchantment and it stays in the battlefield. And we're able to literally sacrifice it later on, which come in handy a lot.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we'll hop over. You've got Treacherous Blessing, which that's a very strong card for a deck like this to be able to take advantage of.
3 mana, draw 3. It's 3 mana, draw 3 cards, and every time you play a card, you lose a life. And you're typically not going to keep this card in the battlefield long because you're going to sacrifice it for whatever reason. It's pretty good, and there is a card you could throw in here as well, which I forgot to mention earlier. Forgetting the name of the card, it's driving me crazy. It's 1 white and 1 black. Sacrifice a permanent, exile a permanent. Gonna drive me crazy.
Well, tell us in the comments because you probably know what we're talking about.
I'm gonna have to pull this one up in a second. Once we go through the deck, I'll pull it up just to show you the other option in here, because it very well could be placed in this deck very easily.
Okay.
I just didn't love it personally. It was more removal, and I just didn't need it. But You got Treacherous Blessing, draw
3 of those.
lose a life. Super good.
Playing Divine Purge, which this card is a super powerful alchemy card.
Super powerful alchemy card. I hate to say that it's amazing because it is amazing.
Yeah.
If you're playing against elves, mono red, any kind of fast tribal deck, it's gonna crush it. It's
Definitely
gonna crush it real hard. Affinity as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing humans recently in the format, and this
too.
card is very scary because you're always planning on Wraths being that 4 mana spot in the curve, so this just comes in right before you expect it.
Yeah, and it's everything, realize, so it's gonna crush you. It's gonna crush you if it hits you. And keep in mind, it's not just creatures, it's artifacts too.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, so that can.
So 2 of those.
That can definitely hurt people.
Now you're getting to play Kaya Orzhov Usurper, which is a very cool card.
This Planeswalker is freaking nuts. It is way underappreciated and way underplayed. It does a lot of good things. Starting with this +1, you get to exile 2 target cards from single graveyard, yours or theirs, either one. You gain 2 life for at least 1 creature card exiled this way.
Yeah.
All right, that comes in handy way later on. You'll talk about why as well. The second thing is exile target non-land permanent with value 1 or less. That's insane.
Yeah.
That is so good against so many things. I mean, just saying tokens alone, it kills any token.
Yeah, tokens. Yeah, but there's a ton of creature cards.
This card's insane against mono red. Insane against mono red.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to exile pretty much any of their creatures. It's going to exile all the stuff out of their graveyard. It's going to exile stuff against...
Good against elves, goblins, humans.
It's just a great card. And then the neg 5 is kind of just a cool...
alternate win con. Yeah.
For every card that's exiled in that player's library, or their exile pile, they take a damage. You just shoot them for that much, and you gain that much life.
Yeah, if they have 8, deal 8.
You deal 8, and it starts to stack up. And she's not hard to pop. Right. She is not hard to pop.
No, yeah, it's only after 2 pluses, and then technically she can ult.
Yep, but she gets people too.
Yeah,
she does get people.
And speaking of her, you're playing her Oath.
Her Oath is also fantastic. Also, it's an enchantment. So you get to stay on the battlefield and you can stag it a Doom Foretold. But if you want to, this one's pretty good as far as an enchantment goes. I mean, if you're running the Kaya, you can keep Kaya from dying.
Yeah.
It comes in, deals 3 damage, you gain 3 life, and then whenever an opponent attacks a Planeswalker you control with one or more creatures, you'll to that player and you gain 2 life. So it kind of keeps you alive a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Great card, honestly. 3 mana for a Helix plus that ability. Plus it's an enchantment.
It does. It sustains throughout the game.
Keep in mind, though, it is a legendary enchantment.
So you're playing 2 of them.
2 of them.
Yeah. All right.
Also, just cool fucking art. Kaya's got some sweet art, dude.
Because she's got like the ghost form hand right there.
Yeah, she's like a freaking ghost assassin. What even is that?
Yeah.
And it's some cool stuff. D&D, that's a whole other freaking class and stuff. Separate conversation. But
right.
Awesome card.
Yeah, awesome concept. So we'll jump. We've got a slew of 4-drops, but we can jump right into the namesake of the deck, which is Doom Foretold.
Doom Foretold is the namesake for the deck because it is the Doom for all.
If you've ever had this card resolved against you, it's you instantly, I'll put it like this. You get that feeling of anxiety from this being on the battlefield when your opponent has it. You're immediately under pressure. So it's interesting, Blake, having had this deck for a while, testing it, tweaking it, but I've never ran a deck with it.
Yeah.
But I've definitely had it cast against me plenty of times, and you instantly get that feeling of like, well, I'm behind now, or there's this pressure,
it feels like if you're not behind, you are because of it, and if it resolves. If the trigger resolves for you, they're really behind. You just gain 2 life. You drew a card. You freaking get a 2/2 creature. You know, and they lose 2 life as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, but it just whittles away all of your permanents. And when you have a deck that doesn't actually set up for it to work, which is how normal decks work, then it's very annoying.
It's kind of a lockdown card, and it's cool played in the right timing and the right way, and it makes you feel awesome when you play it right. And it's really fun if your opponent has set up, like, let's say a few enchantments or artifacts or something, and then you've also set that up, and then it's just like, okay, let's see who wins this like weird game of chicken.
Yeah, it is. It is basically that.
And worst comes to worst, you lose, and then you just sack the Doom Foretold. Nothing happens.
Right.
But if they lose everything else. So it's literally they have to keep up with you the whole time while you're removing everything. So it's cool card.
But that's why it ties in why you have all of the other permanents, like enchantments and stuff.
Go up a little bit.
Yeah, so we've got some Lillianas.
She's just great for the discard ability. The neg 3 is okay. You're going to be casting some exile, or you're going to be removing stuff, so you'll have stuff in the graveyard typically. Her neg 7 isn't really often used, but if you get a win con, that's a win con. She's really just a lockdown card to keep them from having cards in their hand and being able to respond to anything.
I like that.
As far as that goes, that is just good enough alone. Plus the 3 life every turn, that just wins. It is a win con in that sense.
Yeah.
Above that, we got Wrath of God.
Playing 3 of.
If you don't know what Wrath of God does, well, now you do.
Just board wipe. The best one really in the format.
Yeah.
Now I mean, granted, there's the ability to exile things, or you might favor like Supreme Verdict, but this is the standard. When it's you say it's not, and we're not playing blue in this deck.
Supreme Verdict is fantastic.
It's fantastic. It's uncounterable, but when you think of Supreme Verdict, what do you call that? It's
a wrath.
It's a wrath, and that's Wrath of God. So if Damnation was in the format, maybe you would play that, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's this card is, a cool card. It will probably be reprinted indefinitely just for the ability. It's just such a good card, and it's always been solid.
Yeah, and this one's a great art and everything. So
super cool arrow coming from the gods. I love it.
Yeah. You are playing one Wandering Emperor.
Wandering Emperor. She's too good not to run.
Yeah.
So you run one.
Yeah.
She's cool, and we're going to talk about the lands real quick.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. I forgot.
We do have a 5-drop.
Favorite new card that's come out from Kamigawa. This is kind of an older card now, but I love Invoke Despair in this deck. People are like, oh, it's just a good standard card. No, this is just a good card.
Yeah,
it
super
has
powerful.
So much value. It's like it's one of those lockdown cards again, where if they can't keep up, they just start to get pinged away, and you just drew so many answers to everything they just drew.
Yeah.
So it's like anything, they just lose twice because they're losing for each trigger on here, and then you draw a card for each trigger they fail to get.
Right.
And it's like, holy cow, dude.
So even when they don't sack anything, they're losing 6 life, and you draw 3 cards.
That's stupid powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, if the card just said, "Hey, opponent loses 6 life, you draw 3 cards," would you still play it? Yes, you would still play it. It's too
But
good.
It's even really better than that because it does catch you back up. But imagine doing something like this if someone has those 3 types of permanents. You have Doom Foretold already out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, now all of a sudden they have nothing to sacrifice.
It's just a win con by itself. This deck is just like gross because it doesn't really win with creatures typically. I mean, you could win with maybe a token or something. Or the lands. Lands also win the game. But you win with the abilities of these cards that just ping your opponent just 2 or 3 or 2 or 3. And it's just like, ouch, that just killed them.
Yeah, non-combat damage.
They don't really think about it. The only deck that really has maybe longevity is the life gain deck, and see how that goes. Let's talk about the lands real quick though, because we got a nice little chunk of lands. We got Cave of the Frost Dragon. You're going to need your creatures in the deck, so that's really what you're going to use them for. You're going to get plenty of lands eventually. Eiganjo, too hard. I think that's how I say it. Seat of the Empire.
Yeah, Eiganjo.
Super fantastic card. Can't not run it.
Oh, absolutely.
You got 4 Fat Plains. 3 Castle Locthwains.
That's a good one.
Draw cards. You might need it. I don't honestly use it too often. I usually have a lot of card draw in the deck, so that's not a needed card, but it's just too good not to run.
Yeah.
Hive of the Eye Tyrant, super powerful. Also exiles creatures.
Yeah, exiles
graveyards, and great against historic.
Yeah.
You got Dose Swamps.
Okay. 3
Brightclimbs, which is dual lands. You typically throw it on a black because you need Invoke Despair later on.
Yeah.
Concealed Courtyard, Godless Shrine, Shattered Sanctum, and
you're fixing lands.
Yeah, all the fixing lands, and then 1 Crawling Barrens because this card gets super fat.
Yeah, definitely. That's another good win con as well.
I've won with this card many a time.
So 5 creature lands in total. If you want to consider them, even the flip lands, that ends up being, 11 duels, 6 basics, and then some effect lands like the Eiganjo and the castle. So but Blake has had this deck for a while. He's been testing it, and he's shown me it plenty of times. It does have a very workable sideboard. If you're curious about the sideboard, just ask us in the comments.
Yeah, I was messing around with Karn in the deck for a minute, and that was cool. There's the one card I need to pull up real quick. Go to search type in Exile. I forget the name of this card. It's going to drive me crazy. I know the name of it too. I'll pull that down.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay, we're going to lag here for a second. It's going to be a white and black card. So scroll all the way to the right. Keep going, keep going.
And it's a 2-mana enchantment, you say?
It's a sorcery.
Oh, it's a sorcery.
It's gonna drive me crazy. It's like it's got the person fighting the werewolf on it. Hang on, where are we at? No, you passed it.
Oh, there was the white and black.
More.
Rite of Oblivion.
Rite of Oblivion. That's the other card you can also run in this because you can sacrifice. Your
sacrifice a non-land and
it's good. It's good for getting rid of Treacherous Blessing, but I didn't need it in the deck. I don't think it needs it, but also sorcery speed, so a little slower, but flashback is always nice. So that's a concept of a card as well. Never a bad card.
Right. And there might be some of you out there who have played this deck or this idea, and you may be playing that. But
yeah, this definitely isn't a lot of the different decks I looked around that similar to this. That's one of the cards that typically ran. But heck yeah. So I hope you like the deck tech. If you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that. Once again, we are Blake and Jake, and this is the Cloudpost.